The Tuesday, October 1, 2024, Urbandale City Council meeting. I will call the meeting to order and ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Bodie?
Here.
Carberry Montgomery?
Here.
Kroll?
Here.
Rosendahl?
Here.
McBurney?
Here.
All right. Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Urbandale is a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 3, presentations. We do have a proclamation for 2024 National Disability Employment Awareness Month. I'm going to read that right now. Whereas the month of October is recognized as National Disability Employment Awareness Month, a time to celebrate the contributions of workers with disabilities and promote awareness of the importance of inclusive employment practices. And whereas people with disabilities bring valuable skills, talents, and perspectives to the workforce, contributing to the diversity and the strength of our community, state, and nation. And whereas National Disability Employment Awareness Month reflects a commitment to creating a society that values the abilities and the potential of every individual, regardless of disability. Now, therefore, I, Robert Andeweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month in Urbandale. I call upon all residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations to recognize the contributions of workers with disabilities, promote inclusive employment practices, and work towards creating a more accessible and accommodating workplace for all. Let us celebrate the abilities and achievements of individuals with disabilities in the workforce. And I will sign that right now. And move on. So thank you for that. We'll move on then to Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something that is not a part of tonight's regular agenda. I know there probably are some folks in the audience tonight that want to speak on some things that are on the agenda. This is for the purpose of something not on the agenda. Would anyone like to address the council this time?
Good evening. I'm Channing Dutton. I live at 3815 Greenview Drive, just a few steps away from the city council chambers. And as you know, I've been present at many city council meetings this year because I'm interested in kind of helping the city council see the vision of where we need to go to address the climate emergency. And there have been various proposals that myself and other people have brought forward. I'm circulating the neatest one I've seen so far. And I would ask this council to talk with city staff and direct city staff to carefully investigate a company that I think they may be familiar with already called Beam Charging. That website is beamforall.com. And this is a company that has a forward-looking vision that could take place right now in the parking lot here at City Hall. And what you can see there is a replacement light that can go on any existing platform that is already in the parking lot. And that light can either take advantage of current electricity or operate on its own because it is a solar panel, it is a battery, and it is a wind turbine, and it will also charge an electric car during the day that is plugged there. And so that would give the city council the ability to message and visualize for the public that Urbandale is ready to go, we're in the game, and we're looking for solutions. Now, tonight on your agenda, you're being asked to approve $118,000 for streetlights at or in the vicinity of the soccer fields at 104th and Meredith. And that $114,000 would purchase 4 or 5 of these lights. And so this is the future. This is where we're going. It cannot be denied. And now is the great time for city staff and the city council to stand together and say, hey, let's do this. Let's do this right away. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Channing. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council tonight? Yes, ma'am. Please come up and give me your name and address for the record. Sorry.
think this is part of your thing that you're proposing. My name is Cindy Holiday. I live at 3212 70th Street. And I have had to call animal control 4 times and could have more. I probably have 50 videos of these loose dogs that literally jump my fence and come in my yard, poop in my yard, and jump back out. And I have called, the police officers have been to my house 4 times, and I don't think it's fair to take a police officer off the streets to come tell these people that have been cited 8 times to take care of their dog. I would like to see higher fines and escalating fines for each incident, and if it continues, I think the dog should be taken away.
Okay.
And so that's outside of what is coming later.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
And I have videos of this dog jumping my fence if you'd like to see it.
Okay. All right. If you want to email them, you can to our city clerk. You can email them and we can distribute them out. So, thank you. Is there anyone else like to address the council tonight? All right. Seeing none, then we will move on. Item 5, adoption of the minutes from the September 17 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda. We are going to pull items 6.4 and 6.5 for separate discussion on those, but I'd ask for a motion to approve the balance. Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then we will move on then to item 6.4. That's to consider the resolution for the termination of the 2080 agreement. I think, is Roger going to speak? Roger, our Chief Building Official, Roger Schemmel, I'll recognize you if you'd like to come up and introduce the item.
Thank you, Mayor, and the members of the council. I'll do a quick rundown on the home improvement program, Metro Home Improvement Program. Our involvement, we have 11 on our waiting list. There's 1 from 2024 and there's 5 from 2023. There's not any current active cases in Urbandale right now. We were first assisted in 23. We'll probably be back onto the list at 25. The Metro Home Improvement Program uses funds from both the Polk County Housing Trust and also from contributions from 8 different communities. The way that's assembled is there's 3 houses per city that gets funded, and there's 8 cities, so that's 24 houses in the cycle. The maximum is around $16,800 per house times 24 houses, around $400,000 for the program. Our cost, so $400,000 plus, and then $240,000 from those communities. The balance comes from the Polk County Housing Trust Fund. Our contributions in 2025 are around $38,000. Next year, it'll be $9,200, which is administrative costs only. Tonight, there's 2 items on there, 6.4 and 6.5. One is to terminate the current agreement, and the other one is to recommit to an agreement with the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance of Community Development. Currently, City of West Des Moines is administrating that program. The Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance was with the MPO, and the MPO decided to separate that from their group. And recently, in April of 2024, they did become a separate organization. The Mid-Iowa Planning, MIPA, also administrates 3 other groups: the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Planning Alliance, the Central Iowa Housing Trust Fund, and also the Story County Housing Trust Fund. And to do the work on these rehabs, it's Home Inc. is the sole contractor for the work. That's a real quick rough down on the program.
Roger, I guess I was the one that asked to get some more information. I guess what I don't understand, I am very supportive of this program. I don't understand the cycling of this and the stuff that you said at the beginning, and how that works and the backlog of people in queue and who is eligible. Is this something we could put more money towards and do more houses? I guess I'd like to hear a little bit more about how that how you get into the queue for it.
Certainly. There's a application that currently the West Des Moines application you fill out, you get into the queue. There's a metric. There's a metric on the property values or the assessed values. Now is a maximum of 300,000. And there's also components of your income based. Once you're in the queue, as you can see, we fund 3 houses per community. So you kind of take your turns with the communities on first available on that. That's where we've had 3 on the waiting list, but we've had some used up for this last year. So now they will become the first ones when the cycle comes up in 2025. As if you can make larger contributions, I'm not certain how the program is written. I think all communities would contribute the same as the way it's developed.
I think it's a great program. I just feel like we could do more. I know we don't have I appreciate that we have another entity that is administered. And I mean, these aren't probably questions you can answer. These are probably more for us to discuss. And, but I think this is really a great way to help people stay in their homes that they are, currently affording, hopefully. And I think this would go towards meeting our goals of our strategic plan and our human services plan. And maybe this is something we discussed during budget time. I guess I have no problem with this action that we're taking tonight. I think this could be a place where we could look into investing more as neighborhood revitalization and helping people stay in their homes and do those sorts of things. So I appreciate your update, and I don't know, maybe we could hear from the folks at Mid-Iowa Planning, MIPA, yeah. And see how we could enhance what we're doing. I don't know. I know there's limited, Home Inc. doesn't have capacity to do everything all the time, which I like, but I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I had just had the question of how did this get transferred from West Des Moines to MIPA? I mean, what's our level of confidence in MIPA? They sound relatively new. And I was just wondering, how did this choice get made?
Don't know that exact answer on there, but I do know the group was developed along with the MPO. And at that point, that relationship was created. Then this group is now independent and they're administrating other programs. And that was part of the Metro Home Improvement Program to choose that group. And I think that was the process.
Okay.
If I may, I know that the city of West Des Moines has reassessed its policy and process about how they work in this type of program. And I think it was one of those things where they said they had done enough of this and housing this, and that they were just moving on from this particular, they're still participating, but they essentially transferred the administration over to this organization. I know that they have, in the last year, have had a significant realignment of how they're addressing community-based projects.
Well, I'm familiar with MIPA when it was part of MPO. So I was just kind of wondering, how's it going now that it's not, so that we feel really good about this?
I think so, Pat. from my
Okay.
perspective.
Do they still live at the MPO?
Yes.
Okay.
For now they do. I think they're looking at finding their own offices.
Who-
I think it's still.
I've met one person. How many people? Are there a few people? We don't know.
Now you're,
Sorry. I have a
think
lot of
it's-
questions.
I think it's probably at least 2, but it's a viable entity.
Okay.
It's just, it was successfully spun off from the MPO, and it's a viable ongoing entity to do these types of very projects.
Okay. Who did they
Yeah.
answer to?
They're,
Have a board.
based
have
on
a
the
board.
minutes that I was reading from that organization, there's around 20 members on the board, and I think it represents all those communities.
Yeah. Actually, Aaron DeYoung is our representative on the board.
That's correct.
Yeah, like Luke Paris is from Norwalk, used to be on MPO. It would be nice to hear from them at some point. That would be a cool thing.
Quick question about this. So when we were talking about changing the funding, like if there's any changes in funding for one member, does that also basically have to be agreed on through all the other members? Like, does it go all at once, or?
I believe that is accurate. I think the 2088 agreement actually spells it out, that the number of participating parties is divided up equally.
Okay,
So if the program got larger, then all communities would get larger based on that.
thank you.
I'm not sure if that dollar amount was hard-coded in that 28 agree or not.
And I think the Metro Home Improvement Program is currently open. It's a request for application from Polk County Housing Trust Fund.
From homeowners?
For proposals like from people like Home Inc. or organizations like
From
Home Inc.
like NIPA
Yeah,
apply
yeah.
is open currently.
So they don't administer it?
They administer funds. It sounds like they match funds that come from Polk County Housing Trust Fund to then distribute to the various communities.
But they have to apply to the trust fund to get the money?
Yeah.
Okay,
Everything's application-based.
love that. We'll find out more. Yes, looking forward to it. Thank you for answering my questions, Roger.
Thanks.
Thank you, Roger. All right,
I'll
then.
move approval of item 6.4.
Can,
By Carberry Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
And I'll also move approval of item 6.5.
I'll second.
Carberry Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. And those both pass. Thank you. Item 7, public hearings. So we'll start with item 7.1. This is a public hearing to consider the storm sewer and surface water flowage easement vacation for lots 16 and 21 Magnolia Heights Plat 1 at 5637 and 5621 153rd Street. And ask for, let's see, find out when the public notice was published in the September 20th, 2024 Des Moines Register. Is there any objections to that notice is published?
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. And to introduce this is our Assistant Community Development Director, Christy Bales. Christy?
Very good, thank you. The first public hearing tonight, we are up in the Magnolia Heights Plat 1 development, so north of Waterford on the east side of 156th Street. The site under construction here is the new Waukee Elementary School that opened this fall. The request pertains to 2 lots that front here on 153rd Street. And graphically are shown as this, lot 16 and 21. They built the window well a little bit too far into our easement. And while we can accommodate it by getting some additional easement in the next plat, we want to vacate these 2 easements on these 2 lots only where there are the issues, just that 2 feet. So 2 lots, 2 feet, that need to be vacated to accommodate that kind of error in the survey. So staff is recommending approval. Engineering department staff reviewed that request. The developer, who's the same who developed Magnolia 1, will add that 2-foot easement when they do the rest of the plat on the east side. So we will get the adequate width we need for that easement area. Staff's recommending approval, and I'll take any questions you may have.
All right. Christy, any questions?
So for folks that are buying 16 and 21, is there some sort of notice that they're going to get to say, hey, like, heads up, the line goes burp, burp, and then back?
No, the buyers, we do not give notice to the buyers. The developer who still owns the lot is the requester of the vacation, and they wanted it cleared up before they close on the property. Actually, lot 16 is the model home, so the developer will own that for a little bit. But the vacation will be recorded and part of the legal docs that travel with that plat and those individual lots, so.
No. So there's constructive notice. They may not get actual notice, but it's all recorded and it's
Yes,
shown with regard to that lot.
exactly.
All right, any other questions? All right, we are in public hearing on this. Does anyone like to address this, either for or against? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, I first ask for a motion on the resolution.
Motion to approve Resolution 238-2024.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
By Bodie, discussion, please vote. All right, that passes, and as my understanding, there's a request to have all the reading, the second and third readings.
Yes, mostly because that southern lot has a closing in about 3 days, and so they asked if possible, they'd like to waive the readings on that.
You gonna do it, Blake?
Yeah, I got it. Unless,
can do- you can
Bridget, go for it. There's two.
There's another one. Yeah, you can share.
This is a lot of pressure. What did we already do? Did you approve the first reading?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, well, I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-12.
All right. Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Okay, here it goes. I move to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings of an ordinance for ordinance 2024-12.
Okay, motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
And is it 13 as well? Okay,
No.
there's 2 numbers. There's 2024-12. That'll be the next one. I move to waive the second reading and approve the third and final reading of ordinance 2024-12.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 7.2, and this is also a public hearing to consider the storm sewer and surface water flowage vacation for Lot 8 Northview Estates Plat 4 of 5036 68th Street. The public notice for this was also published in the September 20th, 2024 Des Moines Register, and ask if there are any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Christine?
Very good. This second public hearing, we are at 5036 68th Street, shown here on the aerial, outlined in blue. We are going to focus on that green easement there in the backyard. The homeowners have requested vacating 6 feet of the 20-foot wide easement. They'd like to build a pool and need a little bit more room. So engineering staff reviewed, felt comfortable with 14 feet remaining for that surface water and storm easement. And so we're supportive of the request to vacate, and you can see it shown here in the hash line. We're going to vacate the east 6 feet of the 20-foot easement. Staff is recommending approval. I believe the property owner may be here tonight to answer any questions as well.
All right, thank you, Christine.
And they also would like to waive the second and third readings.
All right, any questions for Christie at this point? All right, then this is also a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Yes, sir.
My name is Tim Gerlovich, 5036 68th Street. Good evening, council members and others in attendance. I would just like to reiterate the personal sense of urgency. That this has been an ongoing process that I've been trying to navigate. The first time having to submit proposals, hire an engineering firm for a construction project in my backyard, but nonetheless, we're close to the end. However, I do have a signed contract with a builder. The hopeful start date for breaking ground was October 7th, so next week. So as well, looking to waive the second and third readings and hopefully come to a positive and amicable resolution as quickly as possible.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council on this? All right, seeing none, then is there a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Carberry Montgomery. Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 241-2024.
Motion by Rosendahl. Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-13.
A motion by Rosendahl,
Second?
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings of an ordinance for ordinance 2024-13.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
And motion to waive the second reading and approve the third and final reading for ordinance 2024-13.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Don Brush will be smiling down from heaven, looking at you. You both did an admirable job of suspending the rules and making those all 3, so.
It's hard. I think it needs to stay over with Blake, though. He's getting good at it.
Don was always a stickler on that. Thank you. Both those passes, thank you. All right, we'll move on then to item 8, to establish a public hearing for the lease agreement for the existing monument sign in the street right-of-way for Westmark Plaza at 2743 and 2819 86th Street. This was established October 15 for the public hearing date.
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9, planning and zoning items, we have 3. First is item 9.1, that is to consider the Bentley Ridge Plat 2 final plat at 173rd Street and Northview Drive. Christie?
Very good. Let's start with the aerial photo here.
Ooh, making me sick. Traveling really fast.
Yeah, sorry. It doesn't have an address, so I can't just program it in and flip over there. We're just going to travel here across the city.
It's way out there.
No, it's fine. It's all good. Final plat before you this evening is Bentley Ridge Plat 2. We are located with this plat on the west side of 170th Street, on the west backside of Radiant Elementary. You can see Radiant Elementary here. Bentley Ridge, the preliminary plat came through the council. The final plat for Bentley Ridge Plat 1 came through the council, I believe, in 2022. Houses are under construction out here, and so they are ready to now plat. And I'm going to outline it with the mouse first. They're ready to outline plat 2, which is even better shown here. There are 108 single-family detached lots. When the PUD master plan was approved, they had a combination of 60-foot wide and 70-foot wide lots to give a little bit of a mix in layout and housing options. This plat continues a combination of those. This plat also includes parkland, which is shown as lot 109. And you'll see that here. And I'm going to flip to sheet 3 to show you a little bit better that property. So the city park has an access point on the east side from North Valley Drive, or excuse me, west side of North Valley Drive. As part of their parkland dedication, this was the land that was included, as well as construction of a trail. So there's a trail that comes through here and connects on through this little outlet X that you'll see there, and connects back to the Radiant Elementary sidewalk system. So to zoom in a little bit, you'll see that here, and that sidewalk connection that Radiant Elementary has. So there's kind of a back way to get to the school. Staff is recommending approval of the plat. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the plat, subject to the comments and conditions that are in your staff report. Fairly standard stuff, some payments to be made, legal documents, and so nothing too concerning there. Councilmember Rosendahl did have some questions about the pedestrian crossing because they will be crossing Northview Drive. That sidewalk will connect, and we will get the signs put up there. We had a conversation by email about that, and we'll get those advanced signage and at the pedestrian crossing. So that was a good suggestion that we hadn't, I don't think we'd thought about that yet. So this is a little bit of a different situation. So got the parkland, and now we need to make sure whoever's crossing the street is all safe. So Dean Roger is the engineer for the project. Jared Johnson is the developer. They're both here. If you have any questions for them, I'll take any questions you may have first.
Well, I think I have a question, but it's probably actually for maybe you and Jan.
Okay.
So there was some controversy in the Waukee School District right before school started about like busing and how routes got measured. And a question was brought to my attention related to, my God, the park in my neighborhood. Colmorgan Park. If the city maintained the trail because it appeared that it was being counted as the way that people were accessing the school to measure the distance. And so the sense that I got from John was that we do not maintain those routes or those, even though it's very likely that kids are passing through there to get to school. And I just wanted clarification, I guess, that that's our policy. I don't think the busing thing would come into effect here maybe until we get way building to the west, the distance. But I know at Colmorgan Park, with folks living further to the west, that did make a difference, the way they were calculating it. I think that's what happened.
Basically, that is Clive as well, that is to the west of the park.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we would not maintain the trail through the park
That
in
is
the
our
wintertime.
current policy, yes.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to clarify that because things got a little wacky with measurements of bus distances, and people's houses didn't actually move, but their distance from school changed dramatically. So I just wanted to clarify that. It'll be a ways down the road before that would ever impact busing, but I know it'll be well-used route to get to school. And I love that we've already got all the connections and hopefully lots of kids walking to school.
Are Outlaw Y and Outlaw Z going to be dry detention or wet detention?
I believe they are dry detention.
Okay.
Oh, I'm wrong. Z is wet.
Z is wet, okay. Thank you.
All right,
Motion to approve Council Letter 7926.
motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.2 is consider the Prairie Tower Plat 4 preliminary and final plats at 4701 and 4749 130th Street. Christie?
Very good. And Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, could I go ahead and present the Pet Medical Center site plan? It's on one of the two lots that we're going to talk about.
Yep, absolutely.
So on this preliminary plat and site plan, so we have preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan. We are located in the general vicinity. This is 128th Street and Meredith Drive. And even though this photo is from 2023, it's very outdated.
Yes, it is.
It really is. If you're familiar with this area, R&R's new facility, I'm going to put the mouse up there, is built and open for tenants. The new cross-dock facility is built and open for tenants, and Plum Drive has been constructed not only here on the east side of 128th, but also on the west side of 128th, connecting down past and tying into 130th Street. So this is the Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh. This lot now has a daycare on it. The proposal in front of you this evening is to take this lot and split it into 2 commercial lots. These are the 2 commercial lots that are proposed. They feed into the regional detention basin that is just to the north. So one lot is just a click under an acre and one lot is just above. That meets the PUD minimum. These are both part of the Prairie Tower PUD master plan in the retail portion of that PUD master plan. And so this is the preliminary plat and the final plat. Staff's recommending approval of both of those documents, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did as well. You'll see those comments in the staff report. Lot 1 is being platted in order to construct a pet medical center. They are currently located on the south side of Meredith, kind of behind the Casey's, so not too far away on just west of 128th Street. And they're going to have their own standalone building. So there's a site plan, also part of your packet tonight. The building is a little over 5,500 square feet in size. It'll have one access point with the main building orientation headed to the south. And for elevations, if you'd like to see building elevations, here's what they've submitted as their drawings for their building elevation. This is the primary facade that'll be faced south. They do have an outdoor pet relief area located on the east side, and they show that on their site plan. For the most part, they're showing a little bit more parking than what we would require, and we're fine with that. We figure they do know their business operation, and if they want to put that much parking in, they can. There's some landscaping that's required that they'll need to put in. They do show sidewalk connections from the site itself to the site, to the streets as well. 130th Street is public, and then you've got Hickory Drive here on the south. So I will take any questions you may have on any of those documents. Jason Ledden is here from Snyder representing the Pet Medical Clinic. Jeremy Shepard, Adam Conduce are here from R&R as the sellers who are doing the platting side of things in order to create the lots.
All right. Thank you, Christie.
Is the street directly to the south, is that a public street that would be between the daycare and?
Let me check.
I know there's a sweet spot to get out of Fast and Fresh to be able to go north.
Yep, so Hickory, I had to double check. Hickory's public. This one on the north side of Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh is private.
Okay, so the map that I guess I'll look at what's on the screen here. So we've got the canopy for Fast and Fresh.
Daycare.
Okay,
New
so
Horizon
this is a
Academy.
private street south of the daycare?
Yep,
Okay. And then,
130th and Hickory are public.
and this is to the north of the daycare,
It is.
south of the green spot there.
Yes, this is
Okay.
the lot that's being platted, and then the pet medical is on the south side. So 130th now extends north and has been constructed, and then turns here on New Plum Drive.
Okay,
So Plum Drive's your full movement access point. Actually, Hickory is too.
I just wanted to clarify that because there's, not full movements.
Yes.
When I leave Starbucks with Adam.
So we need a motion to approve Prairie Tower Plat 4 prelim plat, subject to conditions.
Yep. Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 243-2024.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Moving then to item 9.3 on the Pet Medical Center site plan. You've obviously heard the presentation by Christie. Any further questions on that?
Motion to approve Council Letter 7929.
Okay, motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Christy, I had just one informational question. I'm sorry, I should have asked it, but how, are they expanding their square footage? I mean, I don't remember if it said that. I'm sure they are from what they're existing in the strip mall.
You know what, I don't know that answer. I don't know what they have right now, but Jason's nodding yes.
Okay.
I know this one's a little over 5,500 square feet. I don't know what they have right
Okay,
now.
well, that's exciting for us.
All right. That passes. All right. Thank you. We will move on then to item 10, regular agenda items. Item 10.1 is to consider the first reading of ordinance 2024-11, and I'm going to turn this over to our police chief, Rob Johansson, to introduce the item. Chief?
Mayor and members of council, have this council letter in front of you to talk about our current leash law and a couple other updates to the animal control ordinance. We've talked about it a little bit previously in the lunch and learn, but basically what I got in front of you is to require a leash on any dog that is not on their owner's property, and also to update the wild animal part of the ordinance. We noticed that when we were talking about the leash, that our wild animal, or dangerous animals, I guess is what we were calling it initially. It's now being called dangerous wild animals, and it updated to coincide with the state of Iowa code. Basically, it references back to the Iowa code for dangerous wild animals and updates our ordinance to be in compliance with that. So I'd answer any questions if you have. Any? I would offer one piece. There's been some conversation about the leash length. That has been kind of a hot topic, I think. And I just want to explain where I came up with the 6 foot. So when I went back through the MAC information that I'd put together from the 18 communities that are in MAC, that's where I was seeing 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot. So I went back through that and just kind of figured out what's the number here. So a lot of these cities that don't require a leash, but unless your dog is not at heel, then they do require a leash. So in other words, if you have a dog that doesn't stay at heel or doesn't obey a command, you do have to have it on a leash. And most of them are referring to 6 foot leash. So I went back through the 18 communities, 13 of them are requiring a 6 foot leash for that. 2 of them require a 15-foot leash, and 1 of them was silent on the length of the leash. So there was no requirement there. So that's where I came up with the 6 foot, and just made that consistent throughout our ordinance.
Okay.
And happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions from the council?
I think there's been a lot of, I appreciated our public comment efforts in social media, and I know we've gotten some emails and calls today. Can you talk a little bit more about how you envision enforcement of this happening?
Sure. The approach we've always taken since I've been here for 30 years has been complaint-based. We're not out looking for people that are violating the ordinance prior to this, nor will we be going forward. But if we do receive a complaint, we will go out and address that complaint. It depends on what happens in the complaint, quite frankly. If this is an attack, where someone's been bitten, or another dog has been bitten, or another pet has been attacked, we normally would cite on the first offense on that. If it's just a complaint that someone is walking around without their dog on a leash, if this is passed and we go forward, we would make contact with that person and give them a warning. And then after that, if we continue to get the same complaint on the same individual, then we would cite. That's the way we've run almost all of our city ordinances, quite frankly, parking, all those things that are nuisance type violations. We usually try to give a warning first. I'm not guaranteeing that, but that's what we try to do. And it's case by case, but that generally is how we run it.
Can you speak to how big an issue this is right now? Do we really have a lot of concerns around this from the public?
No, we get called when there's a bite, when there's an attack. We do have a few calls that come in if we have a repeat offender. We've heard about some issues up at Lakeview Park about an individual up there that people are concerned about that dog. So we do hear them. There's been other complaints over the last couple of years at different parks where dogs are allowed to run it, you know, away from their owner. They're running their dogs and they're not at heel. And we try to get up there and catch them in the act, if you will, a lot of times. Most of the complaints that come in, people aren't leaving their name, you know, that type of thing. It's an anonymous thing. So the officer has to go up there and kind of catch the violation as it's occurring to do anything about it. But yeah, we don't get a ton of complaints on this.
So that I understand the current ordinance, if they were playing Frisbee with their dog and their dog was 30, 40 feet from them, that's in the park, and no leash in sight, that would not be at heel, correct? They would still be, even though they could call the dog and get the dog to come to them, allegedly, they would still be violating the current ordinance, correct?
Correct.
So this essentially gives teeth to be able to follow through with something if there's an ongoing issue that you come upon.
So as we discussed this in the past, the at-heel exception makes it difficult for officers to enforce. Because then you would have to catch the dog away from the person, not only catch them without a leash in this case, but also away from the person and not in control of that person. So then becomes kind of a judgment call for the officer based on the circumstances. So it makes it a little bit more gray for us sometimes. It's easier if an attack has occurred. Unfortunately, that sounds terrible, but then you know they weren't at heel and in command and control of the owner because they've attacked something, either another pet or another person. So that makes it real easy for us to come in with a citation on that. But the other complaints, as current ordinance states, makes it a little more gray for us sometimes when we roll up to that park and we get a complaint, we roll up to the park and we see the subject walking with their dog, and it is right beside them. Now, we really don't have anything there unless someone wants to go down and testify, you know. And like I said, most of these complaints are anonymous, so we don't have that ability to cite someone at that point.
And if someone is playing with their dog and they are, you know, under control, the likelihood of that getting called in is what, do you think?
Slim to none.
Thank you.
Honestly, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. It doesn't happen, but, you know, as Pat's point, that's, would not be in compliance with our current ordinance.
Right.
A few of the emails, I mean, just that we got today are in comments related to electric leashes and electric fences and different lengths of retractable leashes. I guess, I don't know, I really have a question. I just want to have a little discussion amongst us if we have concerns. I had the email that you just got passed out. I talked to Michael before the meeting, and he asked a lot of really good questions about like what are we trying to control for, and I didn't have a lot of really good answers other than you know like my dog, like I know it's more than just my dog, but my dog is a pit mix, and we know her limitations, and that's why we have her on a leash all the time. But when a dog is off leash and gets in her face, that can be problematic, and it's our dog that'll get, in trouble, so to speak. So, I mean, I want all of our dogs to be able to thrive and live to their highest potential, but there's a lot of questions that have been brought up, and I want to see if we're answering, if we're doing the right things with this, or if we need to go further or bring it back. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I think with I know nothing about electric leashes. Do you know any? I mean,
It's a shock, what I call them, the old language is a shock collar, right?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people that hunt with their dogs use those to train
Okay.
them and use them when they go hunting with them. They have a collar on them. I don't see a lot of people walking around the city with shock collars on their dogs, but that's what people are talking about is, well, what if I have an electric collar on my dog instead of a leash? I guess I'm not seeing that out there very often that I can point to.
Apparently, it happens.
They are effective. If the dog took off and it had an electric leash on it, I've seen dogs go through those, you know. And you know, the property ones are basically the same thing. The electric fence, if you will, the underground, the invisible fence, I should say, that they have underground. Yeah, the dogs will go through those at times if they are motivated enough. So there's a chance of failure there more than there is with a leash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Chief, our current ordinance has a 10-foot leash allowance, right? Is it currently it's at 10 feet?
In a couple spots, it had 10 foot. So again, we don't require a leash, but it did have 10 foot. If you did have your dog on a leash, in other words, and then if your dog was in heat, there's a section about having, if your dog was in heat, there was a 10-foot section there, 10-foot leash requirement there. That is where I applied my common sense to, let's get them all the same length, first of all, instead of having this, because then we have a section in there where it's talking about vicious dogs, and if you're a dangerous dog and you have them on a leash, then it was 6 foot in our ordinance, current ordinance. Yeah. So we have 6 and 10. I thought, let's go through, let's make it all 6, and and again, reference that back to what I saw in the other ordinances from the other 13 of the 18 cities that we were looking at.
And I appreciate that, but I guess my point is that we've had a few folks mention retractable leashes, and I think most of those are even longer than what we currently allow. So I don't see what we're changing now or what we propose to change now would really materially change the reality anyway of that. So again, I think the way I see it is we're trying to get to a point that we can't regulate every possible scenario, and it comes down to enforcement in large part as well on this. So. But at least I think we're changing it from, the biggest thing is changing it from the AdHill compliance to just having every animal leashed is what I see it. So. All right, any further questions or comments for the chief? All right, this is not a public hearing, but I don't know if anybody would like to address the council. I will allow that. So if there's anybody else wants to address the council, if you please raise your hand, I'm going to recognize you, have you come up and speak. Ma'am, you're right in front. I'll recognize you first. If you please, whoever wants to speak, please come up and give your name and address.
Hi, my name is Mary Lou Hill. I live at 4525 70th Street.
You can move that down closer.
Okay. I'm very opposed to this new ordinance. I walk my dog with an e-collar plus a retractable leash, and I'm very, very aware of when I let him loose, I'm very aware of who's around me. I go early in the morning or late where there's no people, and I make sure I can see everything around me to make sure he's okay. He's very obedient. I've only had to use it's like a whistle thing on the thing. It's like a warning, and then he like stops, and he has a great recall. For the health of the dog, they need to sniff and explore. It's part of their exercise, their mental health. And I think if you do anything, I would say consider, like, if a dog is off leash, they should have a muzzle. That would solve the problem. The dog can't bite. There's nice muzzles that go around the nose here that are adjustable and effective. So rather than, punishing all the good dogs by letting them not have any fun, let's just address the ones that are not training their dogs right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sir, you want to comment?
Yeah, my name is Mike Espinosa. I'm at 8808 Boston Avenue over here. And I'm not really opposed to having a leash law, but what I am opposed to is a 6-foot limit. I have a hunting dog, and I do use the truck collar with him, but I also like to bring him over here to the park, and I've got a 25-foot lead where I work on him to do certain things. So I let them get out, I'll call them back, and I'll walk some of the areas to get them to quarter in front of me. And with a 6-foot lead, I can't do that. So even though this dog, he's 2 years old and he knows how to do it, I'm continually training with him all the time. I'm making sure during the off season that we're doing what we need to do to make sure he's effective out in the hunting field. I also have an electronic collar. I don't use it while we're out there because I want him to learn what he's supposed to do while we're doing it. The 6-foot length wouldn't allow me to be able to do that training that I do right now with him. So while I, like I say, I agree with they should be on leashes, I don't agree with that 6-foot, the lead, the 6-foot length for the leash. That's just what I wanted to say about it.
All right, thank you. Who else wanted to speak? Ma'am, okay, I'll recognize you next. Not unless you've changed it.
I might.
You could, just for the record, just so we can, because people are listening.
Cindy Holiday, 3212 70th Street.
Thank you.
I am very for this leash law. I've been working with aggressive dogs of all breeds since the year 2000, mainly Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, aggressive breeds that people want to ban and shouldn't be. So anyway, a good friend of ours was in her front yard, and I'm sure you've all probably heard about this, with her little dog. She's in her late 70s. 2 dogs came and literally shredded that little dog. They also bit her hands well, and this was probably, what, a month and a half, 2 months ago? What upset me about it, those dogs were not on leash. They did get cited, but that citing doesn't do any good. And then I'm looking at your ordinances, and it says vicious dogs cannot be removed from the city. By killing that dog, those dogs went into the vicious mode, and those dogs were allowed to lead the city. That bothers me because next time they could attack a child. They attacked this woman, they killed her dog. That was her only happiness in her life. She has a 55-year-old daughter that's in a nursing home from having a stroke. Her husband is no longer alive, and her dog was her only happiness. And they allowed these people to be cited and to move. And then I have a lady named Mary on 68th Street. She has been attacked 3 times, twice by Labradoodles and once by a boxer mix. When she called to report this, she said that they told her there was no animal control in Urbandale, which I know is not true because I've called them so many times, you know, but I think the 6-foot is good. I understand his wanting a longer lead, but our dog parks and certain areas allow you to do that per your ordinances. They can be off leash, they can be in there, and you have to have a permit for the dog park, which I think is great. Okay, the muzzles will not work on every dog. As many dogs as I have trained, they hate muzzles. It takes a break-in period. She's an excellent owner, but not everybody is like her, and the majority don't train their dogs that good. I think it has to be put in place for the people's safety. I have a 12-year-old hospice dog, and I have a small dog that can no longer have vaccines because of an anaphylactic reaction. I will not walk my dogs on these streets now, since I've learned about all these incidences. We're not protecting the public, and I know we have a lot of irresponsible people, owners. I also don't think it's fair that we have to call the police and get them off duty to come answer dog calls. I wish you had a dog person. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Speak of the devil, I didn't see you come in.
Hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Michael Nicholas. I'm at 14811 Delwood Drive. I was the one that sent the email. Three things actually on this point is that I understand 6 foot, you have to put some limitations out there, but I'm a runner and I run on these paths and these go through the parks all the time. And even if you put a 6 foot, you have chances of having the dog still leap out in front of you. So really, if you really want to have somebody controlled, you need to have a 2-foot or 3-foot leash, because then it can't be, moved in front of you. And especially when you're taking away from all the retractable, you look at all the parks, all the places, all the people on the trails, they have retractable leads with their dogs. And trust me, I don't like it when they are running in front of me and doing that while I'm running. But the thing is that that's, something that the freedom of their dog and being able to enjoy that, park also. I live on Holbrook Park, literally right there on Holbrook. And we have dogs daily that are out there with balls and frisbees and enjoying and running and having fun and not on a lead. So therefore, you're going to be taking away from that. My dog does the same thing. I have a dog. I run off leash with my dog. That dog is right there along and right next to me. I start out with running them with leads, and then I use an e-collar to be able then to correct if they go front or back, and they stay right with me. If I pass a dog, my dog stays right in front of me and goes right with me. It's a point of being able to train the dogs, and the ones that are off lead causing the problems, it's really back to the ownership and of the people that own those dogs, because they didn't train the dogs, nor would they ever have control no matter what you put into place. Those owners and dogs would not have control. Then you go through and try to figure out, will this change the litigation, the ability for you guys to be able to do any litigious type of severity, more severity, or ability to do it? I mean, so if you put this into place, what does that change? And then the third thing and my final point is that, like I said, since I run, I go by places all the time that have electronic fences. And if we're talking about restraints with the dogs, I've had to actually call on one of the places that I run by because the dog comes right out to the sidewalk. And as I'm running by, that dog went actually through one time, slipped because the grass was wet, and literally touched me and my dog. And so I understand what you're trying to do, but the point is that if you're going to go with restraints and really start going through this process, I think then the electronic fences, everything should be taken care of with that process. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael. All right, was there anyone else like to address the council? All right. With that, is there a motion?
I'm going to move Council Letter 7912 and recognizing this is a first reading and we will be able to come back to it.
Okay, motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Further discussion?
Yeah, well, I think I'd like to define if we have some more questions that we want to be looked at or changes. I wanted to clarify those before we voted. I think all of the folks that spoke to us tonight brought up really good points, and I guess maybe, I don't know if you have any comments, Maria, like, are we solving for the problem that we're trying to address legally? I guess I was very clear on this, like, when we discussed it, and now I am less clear because there's a lot of different scenarios. The owner that has the 25-foot lead that works in the park, maybe we could allow longer leads in, in the parks. I don't know. I'm just kind of not exactly sure I know we need to do, I really want to have a leash requirement, but in terms of how long, locations, I don't know if we're hitting the mark here yet.
I guess that was my point earlier, and I think maybe part of where Pat was too, though, I guess, is that it's impossible probably to directly hit every scenario. And, the 25-foot lead would not be compliant with our existing ordinance. And the dogs running free in the parks, chasing balls or frisbees would not be compliant with our current ordinance. So by doing what we're doing tonight, we're proposing to do tonight, we're not making it unlawful what is currently being done. If those things are being done, they were already unlawful. So it's just a matter of just saying, the only thing really I see we're doing is changing it from ad heel to leash, and that's the biggest thing. And then the rest of it comes under enforcement. Chief, do you want to add something?
I agree completely with what you said, Mayor. I think there's some misconception by the public that because this topic is in front of the council tonight, that if it's passed, we're going to be marching down the streets and marching down the trails looking for dogs off of leashes and dogs catching balls in the park and things like that. And we're not going to be doing that. That's all I got to say about that part of it. But
And to Amy's point, this is the first reading of this. This is an ordinance. It would require, unless the council were to suspend the readings, and on this one, I don't think that would happen, but this will come up for 2 subsequent meetings. So if there are any ideas or thoughts, we still have the opportunity to amend anything prior to the final reading of this. So.
Hey, Mayor, this is Larry. I'd like to just chime in real quick as well. I know I was the person that pushed probably the hardest for this to be put in place. I know as far as leash length is concerned, I am totally open between, 6 foot, 10 foot, whatever the council feels like is the most appropriate. I feel as though having this leash law just eliminates a lot of the gray area that our police department has to go through when our officers are out on the street and they get complaints about this. They can easily tell that, yes, this dog is not on a leash, and now they can enforce it, whereas under our current ordinance, it makes it much more difficult for enforcement. I do think that there are folks in the city of Urbandale who choose not to walk their dogs because, as Councilmember Carberry Montgomery pointed out, her dog is on a leash. She knows the limitations of her dog, and for some of these owners, it's just much easier to just not even have to deal with it. And hopefully through having some sort of more black and white on the books, it'll help reinforce the requirement of more people putting their dogs on a leash when they're going out for walks. I understand that we have owners that are in attendance tonight that are amazing owners and have trained their dogs exceptionally well, but sadly that's just not the case for a large majority of the folks that maintain their pets here in the city of Urbandale. So that's my justification for why I want to see this move forward.
All right, thank you, Larry.
I know there was talk about, was it Metro, was it MAC that was talking about trying to figure out a standard? Is that still something that is in conversation?
I don't know. We haven't brought it up recently, Blake, and I don't think there's going to be any real consensus from that standpoint. Frankly, I think we're probably joining more of the consensus by, I think we were probably in the minority of the ad heel rule versus having dogs leashed. So I think we'll be joining the vast majority by taking this action.
And I also think, I think there's validity in looking at electric fences and looking at other things, because there are safety concerns. I'm a cyclist. I've had that exact same experience. I've been tangled up in 16-foot retractables. I've been, had the dogs at my feet, and I'm learning how fast I can go. So, we're not going to solve the issue, but if we can at least make it a little bit more black and white, I think we're going to be in a better spot long-term. And it's not, as you said, it's probably not going to change anything that we're doing now, ultimately. But it will help in those instances where we do have bad actors.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? If not, I ask for the vote. right, that passes. Again, as we said, this is the first reading of this, so there'll be 2 more readings of this. It will be on the consent agenda unless someone asks to pull that off, but there'll be 2 more times this is on our agenda before it becomes a final ordinance for that. But I appreciate everybody's comments tonight, and appreciate everybody's participation. It's, again, it's something that certainly we're not going to get unanimous views on or consensus on, but as I think we've all said, it's something that hopefully gets it a little bit closer. But thank you for everybody's participation and comments. All right, we'll move on then to item 10.2, and that is to consider ordinance 2414 regarding park regulations, and to introduce this item is our Parks and Rec Director, Jan Herkey. Jan?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this one is a little hopefully easier and less painful. As we were working with community development on one of the ordinances for park regulations, we said, you know what, let's look through all of ours and see if there's any changes. So essentially, before you tonight are some proposed, for lack of a better word, cleanup and proposed changes for the parks regulation portion of the city code. So I thought, I'm a visual person, this might be the easiest, is just quickly to go through the red line here. Working with our legal, Ms. Vernell, changing the wording to be a little more clear of our current operations. Travel and speed regarding, and if this isn't the process you want to do, please let me know, or if you want to stop and more discussions on these, but otherwise I'm just going to go through these. For travel and speed, we just wanted to add specifically the e-bike, and again, showing that the maximum can't be in excess of 15 miles an hour.
Jan, I have a question specifically about that. The number one menace in my neighborhood right now is the scooters, the electric scooters. And, technology is ever evolving. I don't know what the next, thing is, but
Electric mode of transportation.
should we expand e-bike to, I don't know what you said, over motorized?
Electric motor or electric mode of transportation.
There are there are no shortage of definitions. I know we need to look at that. I would concur in that, and
I'm not worried about the e-bikes, it's the scooters.
well,
Yes.
I think we need to further define, first of all, exactly what would come in. I agree with that, and then, but make sure we have a good, solid definition too that's enforceable.
Okay, I certainly can work, Maria, maybe we can work together on how we add scooters or what type of electric vehicles. Certainly, we periodically see motorized vehicles as well, and we address those on a case-by-case basis with the police department in regards to the parks. Again, this is not overall city code. What we're talking about tonight is parks regulations. So throughout the document, it had Parks and Recreation Department. It was recommended of just changing it to the Director of Parks and Recreation. So you'll be seeing those. Commercial vehicles, it was becoming a question of what is the definition of a truck? So just taking out a commercial vehicle or equipment to make it a little more clear. Again, under fires, it's just the changing to the Director of Parks and Recreation. We wanted to put ice on a lake or pond because we do have an ice skating rink here. So we wanted to just clarify it's more of a natural thing. Again, Director of Parks and Recreation. But the baseball one kind of caught our attention of people can throw baseballs in a park that's, and I kind of get it. It might, if it's an open play field, somebody starts a baseball game, but essentially we're in parks and we think this makes sense to take throwing baseballs out of there. Model airplanes, boats, and vehicles of just being a little bit more clear in that. And I will mention a question came up and we had discussed actually with staff, and I checked with my colleagues throughout the metro as well in regards to drones, and should we include drones in here or not? And most of the communities of my colleagues throughout the metro, it's not included, and it's more of a case-by-case basis. The FAA we kind of are following more of what their rules. I think it's anything over 0.55 pounds has to have a license and so forth. So this is intentional not to include drones in this section. The posting of the rules, we don't print out all 12 pages of this and post them everywhere, so we wanted to take that out. And the biggest change in regards to skateboard parks, the skateboard park is, there is the under 98.42 is the Iowa code. The city shall be immune from liability, and that code states pretty much everything that we're eliminating here. And just as our dog park and our splash pad, we have rules that are posted at the site. So we didn't think it's necessary to list every single rule for skateboard park in the municipal code. Again, just trying to clean things up where it makes sense. It's not that we're eliminating these, it's that they are referencing that Iowa State code, and then here again, if there's a violation, it's subject to these provisions. So the provision is there, you can click on it, it shows all the information. So just cleaning it up a little bit. But that is what is proposed before you tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Jan, can you go back up to the motorized boats or?
Sure.
I'm assuming that was like actual, like a person riding boat or
Remote control.
Or is that?
RC.
It's a remote control, a model airplane boat or vehicle.
So you cannot use a remote control boat? Like, no.
Nope. Except by permission of the Park and Rec director. So essentially, if there's an organized competition or if there's an event or something, but otherwise model airplanes, boats, or vehicles in a park, that's what it's saying, that it's what it has said. We're just making it a little, instead of fly or glide, we just said operate.
There, on the drone part of it too, the only reason I know this is I was looking at this, but the legislature passed House File 572 this last year that can't restricts drones with over homesteads and up to 400 feet of surrounding property. So I think, most of our, I think maybe in any parks that, maybe we need to have a reference at least to that they have to comply with that state statute.
Of complying with the specific code that is approved. We certainly can
So
look at that.
basically you can't drone a neighborhood or?
Fly over any residential area or within 400 feet, and also restricted agricultural areas, which essentially means,
Don't be spying on.
yeah.
Oh, that's what it's about.
You can't be over,
Pioneer.
well,
Or a factory farm or something.
exactly, where farm animals are kept. It's called a secure farmstead area. So, if they fly, it's a simple misdemeanor if it's simply flying, but if it's flying with a camera, it's a serious misdemeanor.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
So if, I guess I missed this passing the legislature. So if we have promotional drone videos made, that's probably not something we can do anymore?
We
Or
can
do we
in
have
our
to get a?
own, I think we can do it in our own public parks, but we can't be, we had to be careful, I guess, probably. I had to,
Within 400.
400 feet of any residential area, yeah.
So I know we get cool stuff from like the parks in a, department or National Night Out, but
And there are,
I thought
was
some of
reading
our
through it as
stuff that,
well.
I don't know, that Derek's used has been kind of in neighborhoods and stuff like that. But maybe I'm mistaken, or maybe we're not doing.
I'm just reading it.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a summary, we probably just need to take a closer look at it,
Take
so.
a closer look at it, make sure operationally we're not in violation of state code.
I didn't know about it until I was doing some research the other day and I found it, so.
We'll
I
be
didn't hear
happy to
about it.
bring more information back on those two items for the next reading.
And I just was wondering, why is it, and I'm not asking this in a remotely challenging way, I'm sure there's really good reasons for it, I just don't know what they are, why you can't do the model. I also understand the airplanes intuitively, but the boats and little like model cars, the remote controlled, you can't use those. I mean,
That's what's been in the ordinance. I guess I don't know the history on that, but for boats, we have the ponds and so forth, but we also have the wildlife and that are near the ponds, in the ponds, but that's
I got
certainly
some
open
really
to your
cute,
discretion.
cool remote controlled stuff. It just seems like a fairly innocent activity.
I mean, I guess that was what I was getting at by asking for clarification. Because I guess when you went through it, I was assuming it was like a boat with a person in it that we were prohibiting.
No.
I don't know. It's not something that would interest my kids in the least when they were younger, but I don't know. It seems pretty benign to have boats and cars, but I do see the life, I don't know, life.
And again,
dog-
by
or
if somebody asks for permission of our department, it's like, is it a parking lot where now we have an event and they're doing cars and it's a safety issue, that type of thing of looking at the safety issue. That's where my mind goes to of people are out there.
You have your job and.
Think of 5-year-olds walking down and, in our neighborhood park, just controlling their little car around. I guess
Yeah,
that's where
that's kind of what's in my head too, yeah.
Again, I would anticipate it would be something similar to what Chief said. We're not going to be going around finding kids for that, but we certainly can look at that as well. And I can ask our neighboring communities what they do in regards to.
Yeah, I think that'd be
remote
a
boats.
good idea.
Okay. So it sounds like, is this coming back to us? Do we need to, what do we need?
This is our third,
This would be the
first of
reading.
30.
Well, I guess I'll move approval, but if we can not put it on the consent agenda for the next meeting and get further information on those 3 items that we talked about. So I'll move approval of ordinance 2024-14.
Second.
By Carberry Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, item 10.3 is consider the purchase of police department body worn cameras, and I'll turn it back over to Chief Johansson. Chief?
Leave the glasses off. I think I explained this pretty good in the council letter, but we are looking to do a lease program for our body worn cameras with Motorola. They purchased WatchGuard. WatchGuard is what we currently use. Our cameras are getting very dated. If you remember back to budget talks last time in our budget process, I did put in there that we were going to have to do something with body cameras. Our stock of body cameras are getting very old and outdated. The current camera that we're using from WatchGuard, they're no longer going to make those anymore. That's where we're at with them. And they're very similar to cell phones. That's why I relate them to cell phones. The technology just keeps upgrading. The batteries aren't any good after several years, those types of things. We ran into it. The reason it's coming now is because we ran into a situation where we weren't under contract, and Motorola really didn't realize that because they'd bought out WatchGuard. So now they're pushing to get us onto a contract. And if we don't go onto a contract, we want to still go year to year. I should say a multi-year contract lease with them. If we go year to year, the price is going up substantially from what we were before, and we'd actually be paying more over that 5-year period to do 1-year continual contracts with them than what we're going to get on this 5-year lease. So when we looked at everything, it was time to move forward. The 2 other bids that we received are substantially higher because we would have to change everything over. Right now, if we stay with what we're currently using, we can keep all of our in-car camera systems because they're WatchGuard, and they work with that. All of our video storage and evidence processing, cloud storage, that's all stays the same place. If we change companies, we have to get rid of all the in-car cameras as well as the body cameras that are being replaced. You got to get rid of all the in-car cameras. We got to migrate all of our data to a new system through one of these other companies, and price just keeps going up for every one of those items that you have to do that we don't have to do if we stay with the current vendor. So that's why there's such a huge difference in price. We're very happy with WatchGuard/Motorola. The cameras have been good. There's a lot of police departments that use that product, and so we're not disappointed. We're not settling, if you will. I think they'd have been right in the running anyway. But yeah, we kind of have to do this at this point, and it's the most economical way to do it.
What sort of cycle are you on for the in-car cameras?
They generally will last, and it's case by case, and if we start having problems with them, but they would generally last about 3 cycles of a car change out. So about 9 years we get out of those,
And
9 to
the
12.
Technology is,
It gets better.
is more stable in the car cameras, I guess, than,
You're not carrying it with you every day, so it's not getting used as often as well. Plus, you don't have the battery issues because you're hardwiring to the car with those things. But yeah, the camera quality is improving over that time. And usually what we will do is as we replace those cars out on the street and we take all of our equipment out of the one and put it into the new car that we get, that's when we would upgrade that if it was ready, instead of doing them all at once. We just upgrade them as we need them over cycles. Like if we're getting 3 new cars this year and we know that the in-car cameras are getting dated and not working as well, we do those 3 cameras that year, and then kind of spreads the cost out too.
thank you. I'll move approval of Council Letter 7920.
Okay, motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Thanks, Chief. Item 10.4 is consider the streetlight proposal from Meredith Drive from 104th Street West to Railroad Crossing. And John Larson will answer your questions on this if there are any.
Move Council Letter 7916.
Okay, motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 10.5 is consider the employee insurance benefits renewal for 2025, and introduces is our HR Director, Aaron Freeman. Aaron?
Good evening. Before you tonight is the 2025 employee benefits renewal. It's a pretty standard renewal for us. You'll see that there are no plan design or carrier changes. There are some modest increase to the medical and the dental. With the medical premium, Walmart has proposed a 12.6% increase. That is a combination of increased administrative fees, which is pretty typical. We see that pretty much every employer sees that every year from Walmart, and then increased expected claims as well. So while 12.6% seems a little bit high, that is consistent with their book of business. And we've been fortunate for 4 years in a row to have only a total cumulative increase over those 4 years of about 4.5%. So our self-funded plan runs very healthy typically. And so this is just what we would call a normal year. But overall, we generally do much better than that. And then the Delta Dental increase, again, very modest, only 1.6% increase there due to an increase in administrative fixed fees. But no changes to any of the other lines of coverage, carriers, ancillary benefits, anything like that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them about the plan or the increases that have been proposed by our carriers. Otherwise, staff would recommend approving the employee benefits renewal as presented.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Any questions for Aaron?
For that increase on medical, or just really generally, is that usually split equally between the city and the employee?
So because we are self-funded, our rates are based on a combination of the fixed administrative fees and the underwriter's analysis of expected claims. So they establish what they say we should set our rates at. And the city picks up 91.5% of that and the employee 8.5%. So in that sense, yes, it is split. Yep.
Move to approve council letter 7925.
Motion by Kroll, second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, that takes us to mayor and council items. I'll start with Larry tonight. I'll start with you.
Well, just want to thank everyone for accommodating me. Sorry I'm not in person. I probably sound like I feel, which is not good. So thanks everyone. Otherwise, I have really nothing to report.
All right, well, we hope you're feeling better. All right, Blake?
Few items here. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody that attended the Aurora and 70th meeting. Due to some work conflict that I just recently got, I will be missing the October 8 one, but I'll plan to review the recording so that I can take notes. Great turnout for the Hispanic Heritage Festival and the movie, and Run for the Badge. Like, it was just kind of bam, 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 really great turnout for all those things. So it was a lot of fun to do that stuff. So thanks for the staff and the teams for working on that. Let's see. One question I had for the electronics recycling event. I was curious if we had any numbers about, like totals of what was collected or anything like that, just to, or if we can get that. It doesn't have to be tonight.
Probably not yet.
I did ask John Conner, who was working with it, and he gave me a figure in the hallway. And that's where the figure still is, in the hallway.
I'll go look later.
Yes, I'll go find it and report it this week, but it was successful. And they learned from their last event, John said, that it was better organized, if you will, the flow of the traffic went well, and that it was profitable enough for the company to conduct the event. But he had a number for me, and I will make sure you get it. Excellent. All right. It's in the hallway still.
It was a steady flow. I mean, I drove by early. Obviously, the line was very long, but I came over here about 2 o'clock. And there was still, a line of cars, shorter line, but still a line of cars lining up. That wasn't, so it was, from what I could tell, it seemed to be steady and successful. So.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Along with our monthly drop-offs at Public Works and having this in the spring and fall, I think our residents are pretty happy with their ability to get rid of, plus our junk week, pretty happy with the ability to get rid of stuff, from what I can tell.
And if we can, that helps
Yeah.
residents, helps us frankly too, with less tonnage in the landfill too. So.
Yep, it works all the way around. And I know the cardboard recycling outlet at the Public Works facility has been very well received, hasn't it, John? Yep.
Excellent.
Every time I've went there, it's been busting out. So that's good. It's being used.
Amy.
Just to put it on your radar, we have the kickoff of the Human Service Strategic Planning process. That starts, or the implementation, not the strategic plan, we already did that once. That starts next Thursday. And then I'm just curious what our presence was like for the food pantry ribbon cutting.
I wasn't able to make it, but talking to Derek, he said there was a couple hundred people there, he thought.
I don't know, a couple hundred is.
He was excited about it.
I mean, the parking lot was a beautiful morning. It was nice. I thought we had a great turnout. We had a good media coverage for it too. I didn't actually see the coverage on TV, but I know that they had media coverage.
Yeah, he said, because I talked to him at length about it on Friday at the food truck event, and he said he was very excited about the media coverage, and
yeah,
I guess he was good at crowd estimation, overestimating.
Maybe 200, I don't know. But it was definitely good, so, yeah.
Fantastic. That's all I got.
All right. I'm just trying to think. I was looking at my calendar.
You're last.
Yeah, you're last. You got some time.
I'm sorry. Yes, I have to go. Sorry, Pat.
If you go last. That's what I was hoping you could go, and I could just do that ditto thing I'd really like to do. there was an ICON board meeting this morning, executive team meeting this morning, and two topics came up. One, they are moving their offices to West Des Moines, getting some support from Knapp Properties, but it'll be the first time that they're actually paying rent because they're getting larger, and they're moving in partnership with the Great Outdoors Foundation. But they also brought up the topic of regionalism concerns, and mentioned that Mayor Andewig is trying to help lead the MAC and trying to address regionalism to make sure we stick with regional thinking despite what's happening right now through DART. And so there was a lot of interest in that topic this morning at that meeting, and a lot of good kudos your way. I would want to thank everybody who has been participating in the Complete Streets meetings, both the public and staff. It's been a very helpful process, and glad we have a follow-up. I also would like to get updates when we can on a couple of things. What is happening with the Sustainable Urbandale Action Plan? How are we going to follow up on that? Generally speaking, but also we had some specific things that we had looked at. Parks and Rec was doing a study of buildings and renewable energy in those buildings. Would love to know more about where are we going with that and what criteria are we going to use and things like that. Similarly, this stormwater management piece, where are we with that? So we had a number of those kinds of things. We'd love to get some updates on these different kinds of studies and initiatives that we had ongoing. But also, did we ever end up with the second person to kind of support Derek Zarn's work? We did? Okay, great.
Been on for a full week.
Full week, okay. Sorry I missed that, but I have been traveling, it's okay. And then similarly, looking at the status of bringing on someone to support kind of the sustainability efforts more. That's a position I think that's going to start in January, but we've never really gotten real clear about what exactly we're looking at there. Or that the budget was going to be available for that person in January. It would be nice to get.
The budget has been identified as a management analyst.
Yeah.
And so I know there's been some discussion about sustainability and how that may or may not fit in. We quite honestly, at a staff level through my office, we haven't addressed that yet. There's some transitional issues going on we thought were more important to address first.
What would those be?
So we haven't spent a lot of time with that. Again, I know there's been some of the public discussions about already naming this position. And again, based on our recollections and notes from the budget sessions, it really wasn't anything other than a management analyst that might have a number of roles and responsibilities in looking at the variety of activities that the council wishes to address. In a casual conversation with John Conyer, who's been has a strong lead in this, I think his opinion is that this may require a singular type of activity, and where it lands and where it's most effective, we really haven't put a lot of thought into that yet because, quite honestly, it hadn't been budgeted specifically for sustainability.
Yeah, my recollection is that it was budgeted with the intent of supporting sustainability, whether it was done through that position or that position was supporting other work that someone like John was doing, and that John would be able to be more freed for sustainability. That was my recollection of it. And if I'm wrong, but it's something that we might want to revisit then sooner rather than later so we get some clarity of understanding. And that management analyst was a placeholder position title.
I have a similar understanding or recollection, or I know we talked about management analyst, but maybe someone with a background or strong interest. I mean, I think at least my thoughts are that, John has other responsibilities that we rely on him for. He's doing amazing work supporting our sustainability initiatives. And I think there's like Pat said, whether it's backfilling some of his responsibilities or I don't know. I think we definitely need another body in the city manager's office to help us do all the things that are on that amazing thing out there. I think, did I miss the last meeting? I don't know. That's amazing out there.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
All the things.
And then one last thing, Jan, did you happen to see the note? I was not aware of this kind of new program for tree planting in parks through the DNR. So Bruce, okay, so just want to make sure you know about it, because I bet you we could maybe apply. I don't know, or maybe we have. I said I'd check. So there we go. That's it for me.
All right, thank you, Pat.
I wanted to thank, I think, Human Resources and Parks and Rec for an amazing event on Friday night at Walnut Creek Regional Park. The family-focused event before the movie was fantastic to talk to people and meet their families, and we couldn't have asked for better weather. The food was excellent. I mean, we had a good, solid turnout, I think, for the movie. So really thankful for you guys putting in the work on that. So last night, I was really excited. I attended at Living History Farms the Iowa PBS premiere of The Pope's Visit to Iowa, which is the original documentary that's showing next week, Monday night on PBS. We play a starring role. I mean, I was 4 years old. I'm aging myself there. My mom attended. I took my mom last night because I really wanted her to be able to see that. Just an amazing, it's nothing really about religion or the visit. I encourage everyone to watch it for the logistics that took to pull that off. They had like 40 days. I cannot imagine. I mean, they had to get White House approval to shut down 3580. I mean, John's head would probably explode on that. And, everyone they called answered the call. Like, they had people from West Des Moines, Metro Transportation, whatever that is. It took a whole state effort to do it. And, I look at things from a different perspective, but it really showed, like, when people work together, what amazing things can happen. So I would encourage everybody to watch that and just be proud of what Urbandale offered to Iowa and the world in 1979. So it was great. There's not been a lot of action with DART that I know of. We will be, what?
So we probably need to talk.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm sure. They are hiring, they picked a consultant to do Reimagine DART. We were supposed to meet today, but there was some sort of conference, and so we're meeting next week. That's why we thank you for changing the date of the Lunch and Learn so I can attend both. And then DART would like to come to a council meeting or workshop and give an update.
We do that I think maybe the next meeting, is that okay? You saw my email to Vicki. I think if we could maybe just plan for the
I
next.
saw your email too, and
The next regular
we'll find a
meeting.
time for them and whatever they'd like to do. I know she was looking for some
I'll just
consistency.
reply back and to say the next regular meeting
Yeah.
on the,
And, yeah.
well,
You won't be here.
I won't be here. No, I won't be here, but it's probably,
I have my Lunch and Learn booked for November.
I'll probably be on remotely, but, so I can watch it at least. So I'll tell Vicki, let's play.
Okay. And then related to 3 to 5 for Dallas County, I think we should have the animated video this week that Clive has taken the lead on, that is totally educational, that will be pushed out and jointly funded. Well, the major suburban communities in Waukee are jointly funding it, and then we'll push it out and make it available to all of the communities in Dallas County, and it'll send people back to their city's landing page for 3 to 5 frequently asked questions. So I haven't heard any opposition forming to it. There's also, I don't know if I brought this up at the last meeting, maybe I did, but there's a bond referendum in Dallas County for annex to the courthouse. I have opinions about that in relation to other actions that the Board of Supervisors are taking right now. So we don't have to talk about that. But anyway, that's all I have. I just wanted to confirm, though, for tomorrow for the ribbon cutting with the governor, it starts at 9.
Yes.
And so we
Well,
should be there a little before.
I think they're convening at 9, starting at 9:30 from what I understood, but.
Because there was an email update from Aaron saying it's now 9. So I just want to make sure that I'm there earlier.
It's not going to be right at 9, I don't believe, but the latest I have is time updated to 9 a.m., event starts at 9:30, so I think they're just being, but with the governor being there, I think they're trying to just give a little swag. They'll probably start it whenever the governor's there. They're not going to be around until 9:30 if the governor gets there at 9:15, so.
Okay.
I try to be there at 9, and you might be standing around for 30 minutes, or they might say, okay, we're going to start at 9:15, so. All right.
Well, it'd be nice to have the mayor in town, or not the mayor, you're always in town, the governor in town.
Yes.
That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Bridget. I just have a few things to add on to that. It has been, as you've all talked about, been a lot of great events lately. And Pat, thanks for your comments on regionalism. There have been a lot of discussions on that. Happy to talk to anybody individually about that. There's not really a whole lot to share, at least publicly at this point, but just know that there's a lot revolving and a lot of discussions going, and I've been fortunate enough to be in a lot of those meetings to try to keep calmer heads prevailing, and we'll move things forward in a positive manner. So the partnership is convening a regionalism summit on Thursday. AJ and Curtis and I will be they're ahead of that to talk about some other things ahead of that as well. I'll be on a mayor's panel talking about that at that. I won't be working too much on Thursday because I have that. And then at 3 o'clock, I'm at Drake Law School to talk about civility along with Mayor Dierenfeld and Mayor Edwards and myself at Drake Law School. So civility related to city issues. So, and then next Tuesday, again, just a reminder, and Blake, thanks for mentioning that. Next Tuesday, we do have the Avenue, the Complete Streets meeting here at 6 o'clock. So with that, we are at the end of our agenda, and we are adjourned. We do have a closed session after this to discuss strategy meetings for public employers. And so I will ask everyone to vacate the chambers if they could, please. Thank you.